Let's start with our lesson. Yeah, then.
Now, like from literature reader, there are 4 chapters. Should I name?
Yeah, name.
Okay, the how I taught my grandmother to read. The dog named Tube. The man who knew too much. Keeping it from Harold.
Yes.
Then from the poems, the group, the road not taken, the solitary reaper, and the 7 ages. Ma'am, there are many chapters. Then from the workbook, work forms, determinants, future time reference, and modals.
That we have done.
And then from the MCTs, people, adventure, and environment.
What is wrong with your school?
From the writing skill, there are informant letters, notice writing, dialogue writing, and paragraph writing.
Wait, is this all coming for your friend?
This exam and your teachers have finished?
Ma'am, जैसे बोलते हैं ना मुट्ठी भर कर chapter डाल दिया वैसा. And from the Tansin pass that transfer test based passage and discursive passage.
Descriptive writing.
That we have done descriptive writing.
Because for me, I have like English, unseen passages, notice writing, informal
15
letter,
chapters,
paragraph writing,
including poems.
I feel what is remaining for your finals?
Ma'am, like last time, maybe full book. Maybe full book. Because for science, the annual exam is like a full book only.
Is it?
Yeah, the ma'am.
Why to torture children?
I need extra lectures for almost 7-8 chapters. Like I missed a ball. I joined the school in June only maybe. Like I given my first term in DPS and that book was behind. So I don't know these chapters at all.
For me, 3 chapters.
I told Rekha ma'am also, she said I will wait. And because from 8 we have exams.
See, for me, 3 chapters.
Anurakshi Rekha ma'am has called you.
3 chapters are coming, 4 poems and 1 drama.
That's how they have in all the other schools.
And nothing more. Just the integrated exercise, unseen passage, notice writing, informal letter, and paragraph writing.
Lucky people.
That's how it is. Your school has too much.
And how much days have they given?
Ma'am, लगातार exams है, no gap between them. So, ma'am, like if I was in DPS, they give us 1 day.
Yeah, but as we have 1 day only.
Come on, let's do this lesson.
It is never ending.
It's interesting though. You understood what happened so far.
I almost forgot.
Okay. So there was this person called Harold. Okay. And Harold was a very
I remember.
this very studious boy who was interested in learning and reading and everything. And then Harold's mom, Mrs. Bramble. Harold's dad. What is Harold's father's name?
He was a boxer.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a boxer. That's what I expected. And it's the last one.
Bill.
Yes. Harold's father was
Bill.
Bill. He was a boxer. He had a maternal uncle, mother's brother. His name was Major Percy. Okay. And they had
Harold's husband.
Harold's mother's husband.
Mrs.
Mrs. Bramble's husband,
Yeah.
that is Bill. This is Bramble's brother, Major Percy. Now they had hidden a secret. They had hidden something from our Harold. And what was that? They had hidden that his father
Father was a boxer.
Because they always thought that this boy is so particular, this boy is so prim and proper, so studious, he's only interested in studies, and so sincere. He wouldn't think boxing is a good profession. They assume that he wouldn't think of boxing as a good profession, and he might be disappointed that his father is a boxer because he would go to a very good school. Of course, the boxing career was paying him very well, and he was a well-known boxer in that area, in this city. Now, one day he decided that okay, he will fight his last boxing championship. He'll fight the last battle, and this battle was with a very well-known another boxer. And after that, he'll retire and take up a job in some school or some institution which trains other younger children in boxing. Now he was preparing himself, getting ready for this final match that he had planned to play.
With American note.
Now he was known. What was he known as?
Young Porky.
Young, yes.
Young boy.
Young Porky. And he was quite popular. Now one day it so happened that Mrs. Bramble was sitting there and she got interrupted. And what did she see? She saw her husband and her brother Percy
She was from
coming in and followed by Brandon. Sorry, not Brandon.
She was surprised to see her husband at home and he was supposed to be
Practicing.
at the White House.
Yes. So we have stopped there, I think.
Yeah.
So now
Para number?
32, line 32.
We have 100 more paragraphs.
Those are small lines, so should go fast. 32. Mr. Bramble, for it was he, scratched his head, grinned feebly, and looked for assistance to the major. The scales have fallen from his eyes.
Then
Okay, go ahead. The scales have fallen from his eyes means he has now seen things very clearly. In the sense, something that he had not realized earlier, now he has understood.
what scales? Demanded Mrs. Bramble, a little minded woman. And what are you doing here, Bill, when you ought to be at the White Hart training? That's just what I'm telling you, said Percy. I've been wrestling with Bill, and I have been what saved the victory.
Oh,
You, said Mrs.
was he actually wrestling with him?
No.
No, he was wrestling. That means he was arguing, convincing Bill to do something, and now he is almost successful. Now, what did he convince him to do? Read.
Me?
Yeah.
You, said Mrs. Bramble, with uncomplimentary astonishment, letting her gaze wander over her brother's witty form. Jerry Fisher's a hard man.
Now,
Mr. Bramble.
Now, this Mrs. Bramble, she was a simple-minded, straight-thinking person. She couldn't understand the words. I was wrestling with him. He said,
She was surprised that you and
that he was such a thin man. Why were you? How can you wrestle with him? So what he meant was he was wrestling with the idea, or he was trying to convince him for something.
He was wrestling with words. Jerry Fisher's a hard nut, said Mr. Bramble apologetically. He don't like people coming around talking to a man he's training, unless he introduces them or they are newspaper giants. After that, I kept away. But I wrote the letters and I sent the tracts. Bill, which of the tracts was it that snatched you from the primrose path? It wasn't so much the letters first.
Primrose path means pursuit of pleasure.
What does tracts mean?
Tracts usually are the patches.
What?
See, he couldn't directly meet Bill to convince him to talk to him. So what did he do? He wrote a letter. He says Jerry Fisher. Jerry Fisher was his trainer. He was training under Jerry Fisher. Now Jerry Fisher would not let Bill meet anyone while he's training unless they are newspaper journalists. So what he did, Percy wrote letters to him. So he's asking now which tracts, means which paras, which part of the letter convinced you from the primrose.
Snatched you from the primrose path. It wasn't so much the letters first, it was what you wrote about Harry. You see, Jane, perhaps you'll kindly allow me to get a word in edgeways, you two, said Mrs. Bramble, her temper for once wants becoming right. You can stop talking for half an instant, Percy, if you know how. While Will tells me what he's doing here when he ought to be at the White Hart with Mr. Fisher doing his pickup game. Mr. Bramble met her eye and blinked awkwardly. Percy's just been telling me, Jane. He wrote, I haven't made head or tail of a single word that Percy said. I don't expect. All I want is a plain answer to a plain question. What are you doing here, Bill, instead of being at the White Hart? I've come home again. Glory! Exclaimed the Major. Percy, if you don't keep quiet, I'll forget I'm your sister and let you have it. What do you mean, Bill? You've come home. Isn't there going to be the fight next week after all? The fight's over, said the unimpressed Major, joyfully. And Bill swung with me second hand. Percy! Mr. Bramble pulled himself together with a visible effort. I'm not going to fight, Jane, he said in a small voice. You're not going? He's seen the error of his ways, cried Percy. There's a link. That's what he's gone and done at the 11th hour. Oh, and I have waited for this joyful moment. I have watched for it. You're not going to fight? Mr. Bramble, avoiding his wife's eye, shook his head. And how about the money? What's money? Said the Major scornfully. You ought to know, snapped Mrs. Bramble, turning on. You borrowed enough of it from me in your time. The Major waved a hand in wondered silence. He considered the remark in poor taste. How about the money? Repeated Mrs. Bramble. Goodness knows I've never liked your profession, Bill. But there is just to be said for it. That's earned you good money and made it possible for us to give Harold as good an education as Duke ever had, I'm sure. And you know, you yourself said that the 500 pounds you're going to get if you beat this Murphy, and even if you lost, it would be 120, was going to be a blessing. Because it would let us finish him off proper and give him a better start in life than you or me ever had. And now you let this Percy come over you with his foolish talk, and now I don't know what will happen.
Okay. So here she's upset because he has decided to not fight. How much would he had won? 500 pounds, and it was a big amount. See, we are talking about times 100 years ago.
Who is Duke?
Any Duke would have had. That is, even a prince would have had.
Oh, that Duke. Oh, I thought Duke was a name.
No.
Duke is the title.
Yeah, any prince would have had.
Duke or Duchess.
Yeah.
Title.
So there. So he says that she says that it would have given our son a very good start. We could have given him good education, could have kept that money for his future education, and even if you had not won, you could have got as a loser also. He would have earned 120 pounds. There was an uncomfortable silence. Even Percy seemed to be at a loss for words. Mrs. Bramble sat down and began to sob. Mr. Bramble shuffled his feet. Talking of Harold, said Mr. Bramble at last, that's really what I'm driving at. It was him only whom I was thinking of when I hopped it from the White Hart. It would be written up in all the papers instead of only in the sporting ones. As likely as not, there would be a piece about it in the mail with a photograph of me, and you know Harold reads his mail regularly. And then don't you see the fat would be in the fire. That means there would be a great loss or great tragedy, okay, a great accident, a great trouble. That's what Percy pointed out to me, and I see what he meant. So I hopped it.
Hopped it means dropped it.
Dropped it. I jumped from there. I ran from it.
At the 11th hour, added the Major, rubbing in the point.
Yes. At the 11th hour means the match is next week.
At the last minute.
At the last minute. So in the previous week he decides to go. Yes.
You see, Jane, Mr. Bramble was beginning, when there was a knock at the door and a little ferret-faced man in a woolen sweater and cycling, knickerbockers entered, removing as he did so a somewhat battered bowler hat. Beg pardon, Mrs. Bramble, he said, coming in like this, found the front door
Ajar means totally open.
Ajar so came in to ask if you had happened to have seen. He broke off and stood staring wildly at the little group. I thought so, he said and shot through the air towards Percy. Jerry, said Bill. Mr. Fisher, said Mrs. Bramble. Be reasonable, said the major, diving underneath the table and coming up the other side like a performing scene.
You understood what happened. One man entered the house. Okay, just rushed in.
It was a coach.
It was this Jerry.
The trainer.
He
The
just,
trainer.
yeah, he came and he was talking to him. Sorry, I've
He was
just
trying to
walked in.
find where Bill was.
Yes, I've just walked in because the door was open. Have you seen where? And then he turned and saw the group standing there, and he got so angry he almost jumped on Bill. That's when he said Jerry, and then our major said, "Be reasonable," and he hid under the table. He hid under the table and went and came out from the other side because he got so scared that he almost pounced on him.
What's knickerbockers?
Knickerbockers are those loose striped trousers which are pulled, till the knees. Those are those knickerbockers uh, when they during the sporting. You must have seen if you've seen old English movies. They have these striped pants which they pull up till their knees
I think I
and.
might have seen that.
Okay, read.
Let me get at him, begged the
Intruder.
traitor. Sorry? What?
Intruder.
Intruder struggling to free himself from Bill's restraining arms. Mrs. Bramble tapped on the table. Kindly remember there's a lady present, Mr. Fisher. The little man's face became the battlefield on which raged misery and respect for the decencies of social life struggle of man.
Struggled for mastery. So he was so angry, he wanted to beat this major because that major wrote the letters and impressed Bill. So, but then Bill had caught him, and then Bill's wife and Mrs. Bramble said, behave. Remember, there's a lady present here. So now he couldn't fight in the house, and therefore he was so angry.
Yeah, I quite like this simile.
Yeah.
To become a battlefield on the
His
stage.
face was like a battlefield. There were so many emotions. Like, that there was
This would be a
rage,
simile, right?
misery, with anger, misery, and a respect became a battlefield would be a metaphor. It is not, it became like a battlefield. If the word like as so is used, then it's simile. If without
I
that,
thought it was the opposite. I thought it was like it was metaphor.
No. Like,
and a respect for decencies of social level struggle, and that means he had the lady not present, he would have given 5-6 curse words and would have pounced on him and beaten him, but
But
then
he had
he had to
respect for
control everything, so he was struggling with all that.
it's hard, he said at length, in a choked voice. I just wanted to break his neck for him, but I suppose it's not to be. I know it's him that's at the bottom of it, and here I them find together.
I find them together.
Yeah, I find them together. So I know it's him. Well, if you say so, Mrs. B, I suppose I mustn't put a hand on him. But it's hard. Bill, you come back along with me to the White Hart. I'm surprised at you, ashamed of you. I am. All the time you and me have known each other, I've never known you to do such a thing. You are such a pleasure to train as a rule. It all comes from getting with bad companions. Mr. Bramble looked at his brother-in-law miserably. You tell him, he said. You tell him, Jane, said the major. I won't, said Mrs. Bramble. Tell him what? Asked the puzzled trainer. Well, it's only that I'm not going to fight on Monday. What? Bill has seen a sudden bright light, said Percy, edging a few inches to the left. so that the table was exactly between the trainer and himself. At the 11th hour, he has turned from his wicked ways. You ought to be singing with joy, Mr. Fisher, if you really love Bill. This ought to be the happiest evening you've ever known. You ought to be singing like a little child. A strange, guttural
Guttural.
noise escaped the trainer. It may have been a song, but it did not sound like it. It's true, Jerry, said Bill, unhappily. I have been thinking it over, and I'm not going to fight on Monday. Glory, said the major, tactlessly. Jerry Fisher's face was a study in violent emotions. His eyes seemed to
Protrude.
protrude from their sockets like a snail's. He clutched the tablecloth. I'm sorry, Jerry, said Bill. I know it's hard on you, but I've got to think of Harry. This fight with Jimmy Murphy being what you might call a kind of national affair, in a way of speaking, will be reported to the mail as like as not, with a photograph of me, and Harold reads the mail regular. We've been keeping it from him all these years that I am in the profession, and we can't let him know now. He would die of shame, Jerry. Tears appeared in Jerry Fisher's eye. Bill, he cried, you're off your head. Think of the purse. Ah, said Mrs. Bramble.
Think, think of all the swells that will be coming to see you. Think of what the papers will say. Think of me.
What is swells?
Swells is the crowd. Yeah. I know, Jerry, it's chronic, but Harold, think of all the trouble you've taken for the last few weeks getting yourself into condition. I know, but you can't not fight on Monday. You can't not fight on Monday. But Harold, Jerry, he'd die of the disgrace of it. He ain't like you and me, Jerry. He's a little gentleman. I got to think of Harold. What about me, Pa? Said the youthful voice at the door, and Bill's honest blood froze at the sound. His jaw fell, and he goggled dumbly. There, his spectacles gleaming in the gaslight, his cheeks glowing with the exertion of the night's walk, his eyebrows slightly elevated with surprise, stood Harold himself. Hello, Pa. Hello, Uncle Percy. Somebody's left the front door open. What were you saying about thinking about me, Pa? Ma, will you hear me? My piece of poetry again? I think I've forgotten it. The four adults surveyed the innocent child in silence. On the faces of three of them, consternation was written. In the eyes of fourth, Mr. Fisher, there glittered that nasty, steely expression of the man who sees his way to getting a bit of his own back. Mr. Fisher's was not an unmixed chivalrous nature. He considered that he had been badly treated, and what he wanted most at the moment was revenge. He had been fond and proud of Bill Bramble, but those emotions belonged to the dead past. Just at present, he felt that he disliked Bill rather more than anyone else in the world, with the possible exception of Major Percy Stokes. You understood so far? They were talking about Harold. He kept saying that I can't do it because Harold will find my profession. Harold will come to know and he'll find my profession very, very humiliating. And he will be ashamed of us. And I'm doing this for the sake of Harold. And in the meantime, Harold walks in. He asks, what are you talking? What are you saying? What are you doing?
What about me, Pa?
Yeah. What about me? Like, what are you keeping from me or not? All three of them, all four of them, like four people, suddenly turn. All three of them are worried. They have worried look on their face. But Mr. Fisher, there's a twinkle in his eye. Because right now he's so angry. He was very fond of Bill. He had trained with him. But 1 week before the very important match, he decides to not play. And now what he wants to do is he wants to take revenge for Bill's action. What does he do?
So you're Harold, are you coming? He said in a metallic voice. Then just you listen here a minute. Jerry, cried Bill, advancing. You keep your mouth shut or I'll dot you one. Mr.
And dot you one means I'll box you one.
Mr. Fisher retreated and grasping a chair, swung it above his head. You better, he said curtly. Mr. Fisher, do be a gentleman, entreated Mrs. Burton. My dear sir, there was a crooning willingness in Percy's voice. My dear sir, do nothing hasty. Think before you speak. Don't go and be so silly as to act like a mutton. I'll be ashamed to be so spiteful. Respect your father's feelings. Tommy, said Mr. Fisher, ignoring the mom. You think you're past a commercial. He ain't. He's a fighting man, doing his 8 stone 4 inside and known to all the heads as young folk. Bill sank into a chair. He could see Harold's round eyes staring at him. I'd never have thought it of you, Terry, he said miserably. If anyone had come to me and told me that you could have acted so raw, I'd have dotted him. And if anyone had come to me and told me that I should live to see the day when you broke training a week before a fight at the National, I'd given him one for himself. Harold, my lad, said Percy, you mustn't think none the worse of your pa for having been a man of that. He hadn't seen the right light. It's all over now. He's given it up forever, and there's no call for you to feel ashamed. Bill seized on the point. That's right, Harold, he said, reviving. I've given it up. I was going to fight an American named Murphy at the National next month, but I ain't going to. Not if they come to me on their bended knees. Not even if the King of England came to me in this bended.
Okay, you understood?
Shouldn't it be bent?
Bend, yes, yes. That is how they wrote
It's bended up, correct?
Today we don't accept it as correct. You understood what happened? So here, Jerry Fisher, he told him, you think your father is a commercial. He's a boxer. Everybody knows him as young Porky. And then the son is surprised. He's looking, and Bill is.
Why was Fisher calling Harold as Tommy?
I really don't know. I think that's how they refer to children. Yes, a small child. No. Yes, baby. What do you think? How they say, no? So, but then Percy tells, don't worry, don't be ashamed of your father. He's given it up. And even his father says, Bill says that yes, I was about to fight an American named Murphy at the Nationals next Monday, but I don't plan to do it. Even if they come to me with bent knees and even if they crawl, even if the King of England comes, I'm not going to do it. Don't worry. That's a violent sport and I won't make
There's
it.
nothing for you to feel ashamed.
Harold drew a deep breath. Oh, he cried shrilly. Oh, aren't you? Then what about my two bob? What about my two bob? I have betted Dick Saunders that Jimmy Murphy won't last 10 rounds. Two bobs are 10 rupee. One bob is I think 10 pound or 5 pound. I'm not sure. So that's a
What
money.
does shrill? What is shrill?
Shrilly means in a shrill voice.
What does that mean?
Shrill voice is a loud and screechy voice.
Yeah, screechy voice.
He looked around the room wrathfully. It's sick, he said in a crisp, gentlemanly voice of which his parents were so proud. It's thick, it's thick. It's jolly thick. That's what it is. A chap takes a trouble to study form and saves up his pocket money to have a bet on a good thing. And then he goes and gets let down like this. It may be funny to you, but I call it rotten. And another thing I call rotten is you having kept it from me all this time that you were young poorkeeper. That's what I call so jolly rotten. There's a fellow in our school who goes about swanking in the most rotten way because he once got Phil Scott's autograph. You understood what happened?
Swanking is like bragging.
Yeah. You understood what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? What is he saying?
That there's a boy in his school
Yeah,
and
boy.
he is always showing off because he once got Phil Scott's autograph.
Phil Scott's another boxer.
Another boxer, but not as popular as his young porky was. So
Swanking
he
is like
says,
flexing, right? Swanking is like flexing, right?
Yeah, showing off.
swanking is showing off here. So he says, this is not right. A man means he's talking about himself. He saves money so that he can bet with
He's talking in third person.
yeah, bet on the game, the wrestling game or boxing game with his friend. And now there is no boxing game at all because he himself has betted those two
Isn't the process of
bet. He had bet two bobs. And now he's saying you're not playing. And the most rotten thing he says you kept it that you are the young porky in my school. This boy once got that Phil Scott's autograph and he showed off. He was showing off to everyone. He was swanking in the whole school. Fellows look up to him most awfully. Like everybody looks up to him with so much respect just because he's got somebody's autograph. And all the time they might have been doing it to me. That's what makes me so jolly sick. How long do you suppose that they'd go on calling me goggles if they knew that you were my father? They'd chuck it tomorrow and look up to me like anything I do, call it rotten. And chucking it up like this is the limit. What do you want to do it for? It's the silliest idea I've ever heard. Why, if you beat Jimmy Murphy, they'll have to give you the next chance with Sid Sampson for the Lonsdale belt. Jimmy beat Ted Richards and Ted beat the Ginger Nut, and the Ginger Nut only lost on a foul to Sid Sampson. And you beat Ted Richards, so they couldn't help letting you have the next go at Sid. Mr. Fisher beamed approval. If I've told your pa that once, I've told him 20 times, he said. You certainly know a thing or two, Tommy. Well, I've made a study of it since I was a kid, so I jolly well ought to. All the fellows at our place are frightfully keen on it. One chap's got a snapshot of Jimmy Wild. At least he said it's Jimmy Wild, but I believe it's just some ordinary fellow. Anyhow, it's jolly blurred, so it might be anyone. Pa, can't you give me a picture of yourself boxing? I could swank like anything. And you don't know how sick a chap gets of having chaps call him goggles. What was he called? He was called goggles because he had those thick spectacles. So he's saying, what are you doing? You never told me you're my father, and you are that famous young porky. All my life, these children were calling me goggles, and I'm tired of them teasing me goggles. Had they known me, had they known that you are my father, whatever I do would have been ignored. He would have never got teased. And he comes to know that he's been studying about boxing right from childhood. He knows everything. That is, it's like children know about cricket, who's playing to whom and who, when the finals will be and who will.
So how did he know that?
Because that time we're talking about times 100 years. There was no television. There was no television. There was television in their house, but every sport.
Television came last.
Yeah, so there was no television. The pictures were there.
No,
You
but
can only hear the names.
If you knew about young Porky, what do you know who's the
I have never seen the picture. Like he says, no, there is this boy. He has Jimmy Wild's picture, but I don't think that's a Jimmy Wild. It's some ordinary man who says, oh, this is Jimmy Wild. This is Jimmy Wild. Another boxer.
Like ancient that there was a radio. His father Bill was like boxing.
So by mistakenly a radio person like who's he said that Bill is fighting.
No, if it is Jimmy, whatever his name was, they will call him by that name only, the commentator. Bill, said Mr. Fisher, you and me had better be getting back to the White Hart. Read the remaining part.
Bill rose and followed him without a word. Harold broke the silence which followed their departure. The animated expression which had been on his face as he discussed the related merits of Sid Sampson and the ginger man had given place to the abstracted gravity of the suit. Ma, Mrs. Bramble started convulsively. Yes, dearie. Will you hear me? Mrs. Bramble took the book. Yes, mother, will hear you. Precious, she said mechanically. Harold fixed his eyes upon the cut glass hangings of the chandelier. Be good, sweet maid, and let who will be clever, do noble things.
That's the poem that he was learning.
Let who will be
What?
What are
That's
they
134 that who will be
Last
clever
line.
and good last. Para 130.
That's not grammatically correct.
No, that's a poem. That's a poem that he was learning. And he's just reciting the first. So that was the first line of the poem. So, understood?
Yeah.
That means for so long they had hidden the secret from him, thinking he'd feel ashamed.
But it turns out
But that turns
You are
out
proud that my
yeah.
father is a host.
And he says, why did
remember he was
you
just as interested in boxing
Like my
and
father
like
just
an
said
ordinary
it.
person.
He was a celebrity and they hid that from him. And he says that had you told him me before or had it been in open,
Like his parents thought that it was something to be ashamed of, but actually Harold was just like an ordinary person interested in.
yes, everything, not just studies, he was interested in everything. The sequence of events have been jumbled up, rearrange them and complete the given flowchart. What will be the first one?
This person.
Harold is and that will be the first one.
6th one.
Harold wants to know what will happen to the money he had bet on Murphy
Lost.
losing.
No.
Actually, no.
My fifth one will be
Fifth
first.
one will be the first one.
Like that word.
Jerry Fisher tries.
Not
No,
fourth.
I'm just
fifth,
reading.
fifth.
I'm just reading.
Fourth.
Major Percy and Bill come to the house. Harold comes to know that his father is a boxer.
It's not
Bill
gonna be
tells
that's
his
the
wife
one
that
given
he's doing it
second.
for Harold. Jerry Fisher tries to convince Bill to continue. Mrs. Bramble is amazed to think that she has
And
lost
now what
such a
about the
prodigy.
ninth sentence?
That'll be after. That is the third, I think. That'll be after Mrs. Bramble is amazed to think.
No.
No, Harold is alone with his mother in their home. Won't that be first?
Yeah.
Sure, Mrs. I thought the fifth one should be the first one. But like they have given it as a second, strangely.
Yeah, they've given it as a second.
So I'm confused what to come
Number
before.
9. How 9?
Ninth will be the first. Harold is alone with his mother
First
in
they
their
will introduce about they'll say that Mr. Bramwell has
Yeah, but they
brought
were
a prodigy. So how
My confusion is that this is not even an event that she is amazed
No,
to think that
see, the
she is
fifth one
amazed
is the
this.
second
Wait a
one.
minute. Mrs. Bramble being amazed to think this brought us prodigy. That's not like an event. That's just that she is how she feels. Why have they even given it here?
I
It's
know.
not like an event that happens. Just really confused.
The fifth one is the second one. It's just given, right?
Yes. So Harold is alone with his mother, and that's when she says, "No, go out for a walk." So he goes out for a walk. Then second one, Mrs. Bramble is amazed. Then third would be Mrs. Bramble resumes the work of darning the sock. Then fifth would be Major Percy and Bill come to the house. Bill tells his wife too that he is doing it for Harold.
I'm going to repeat it from like the from the after the second one.
But what's the first one?
First one is Harold is alone with his mother. Ninth one.
Okay.
Now after that, what is the third one?
Third one would be eighth. Resumes the work of darning the sock. Then the first,
Yeah.
they come home.
Yeah.
Then third, Bill tells his wife that he's doing it for Harold. Then the
No, but shouldn't seven be come before three? Shouldn't the seventh sentence?
sorry, seventh will come. Mrs.
Yeah.
Campbell is informed that Bill has decided not to fight. That will come first. Then third.
I'm really confused.
Then fourth.
Yes.
I don't understand the signal.
1 minute. Let's give me Just do you have a pencil?
Yes.
And just put the numbers. So first, this is number 1. This is number 2. They have already given. Then third will be this. Then fourth will be this. This is fifth. Then Bill tells sixth. No, not this. I want to know what will happen to the money. Okay, got it. Okay, 6. Jerry Fisher, 7. This is 8. And this is 9.
Now pretty much
So
the order.
Order is 4, 8, 6, 7, 2, 4. Hey, 1 minute. 2, 9. 2, 9.
What?
And you said 9, 5, like 9, 5, 8, 1, 7, 3, 4.
9.
No.
First one is 9.
4.
The first one is 4.
Yeah.
How is the
You mean first action is 9. Okay. We are talking about like this. 9.
The
First is
first
9.
9, second, fifth, as it's given.
Yes.
Third is 8, fourth is 1,
Yes.
and fifth is 7, then 3.
5th is 7. This order is correct. 5th is 7.
Then third is 6,
6.
fourth is 7.
Yes.
Now 8
Second
and
is
9.
8. Second is 8. Harold comes to know about his father's
the
workshop.
last one?
And 6th is 9. Harold wants to know what will happen to the money.
4, 8, 6, 7.
Third. It's like 9, 5, 8, 1, 7, 3, 4, 2, 6.
So 6.
And if you consider the first as 4, then it will be 4, 8, 6, 7.
Why would you consider the first as 4?
First is the fourth one, no?
Yeah.
The number 1 is 4.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Number 1 is 4.
Yeah, number 1 is 4.
Okay. Okay, that's not even.
4A.
Now 4A question.
Now first one will be 4.
Mrs. Campbell was proud of woman.
We did
because-
this.
We did this, no?
Yeah.
The first one.
Only first is done.
4 days.
B will be, we were like discussing about the
Did we-
question B.
We just did this
Did we
C
even-
wala part. D is
The very naming of Harold has caused a sacrifice on his part. The writer's
Why?
tone here is
uh,
a satirical.
satirical. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Harold had defied the laws of heredity by
Together with
Being
four
good at
percentages.
academics.
being good
Oh,
at
yeah, sorry.
academics.
Honestly.
D. Harold felt that he was deprived of the respect that his classmates would give him as
They did not know
no
his father was the
famous
famous boxer
boxer
Yankoki.
Yes.
Now,
It's,
is it essential that there were no young properties real name?
yes.
This is a strange.
It's hard, he said at length in a choked voice. What was hard according to Mr. Fisher?
To give up boxing.
To give up boxing. Where is this? It's hard. Where does he say, my God?
Yeah. He said when crying.
Mr. Fisher said,
Yeah.
So which paragraph? which paragraph?
Yeah, you have to look for the paragraph. I'm not sure where the paragraph.
And who's that?
Jerry Fisher.
Yeah.
It's hard, he said it at length in a choked voice. I just wanted to break his neck for him. The little man's face. See page, line 75, page 36.
Yeah. It's hard.
Okay, kindly remember
To control his
there
anger-
is
to
a
control his
lady
anger.
to control his anger. Yeah, kindly remember there is a lady present. So he says
The answer is to
hard.
control his anger, right?
to control his anger.
Yes.
Yes, to control his anger.
What do you guys about major process of character in the story? Circle of appropriate of Yes, process argumentative.
Interfering, definitely.
2, 4, 5.
2, 4, 2,
Two,
3,
three,
4. 2, 3, 4.
That's not an option.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not an option only.
Ma'am, 2, 4, 5.
So self-important. Okay, 2, 4, 5.
No, shouldn't argumentative be?
Yeah, he was argumentative.
It's like
Sorry?
it's like almost all of these.
Wrath means anger.
It's like almost all of these, honestly.
So he was persuasive. He
I
persuaded.
don't think it's one, just either three or
No.
four.
No,
option
2,
third is
4, 5.
correct.
Option third is correct.
I'm surprised that argumentative isn't.
4B, read the extract and answer the questions. Now we know.
Now the first one will be 1 and 3.
1 and 3, yes.
Yes, gentlemanly manner and.
What was highly distasteful to both Mrs. and Mr. Bramble?
Consciously choosing to lie.
Yes, consciously choosing to lie. The facts concerning Mr. Bramble's profession must be kept from
To make him feel ashamed to be.
Yes. Okay, now mark the answers and you'll give all
Well,
the
the
answers.
suspected Mr. Fisher would
He'll
take
give the answers.
What?
I think you give first two because he is giving all the answers. Now you give next two and she will give next two.
Okay, 3 and 3.
Everyone should get a chance.
On the faces of two transcendent relation was written in the eyes of.
Ma'am, option B of first.
3 of them felt anxious on the faces
No,
of two
wait.
because
Ma'am is correct. They suspected.
Harold
Mr.
had
Fisher.
heard a part of Harold did not like arguments.
Option
And they suspected Mr. Fisher would take revenge. He's correct.
Option
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
B.
One minute. That they were worried that he has heard part of the conversation. Third one is correct. He came, they suddenly saw him, and then they were anxious. They had consternation on their face. So they were worried because they thought that probably he heard part of the
Ma'am, they were
conversation.
only worried because Mr. Fisher was there. So
No, they did not know that Mr. Fisher would do anything. They never thought Mr. Fisher did.
no, ma'am, if you go back to the scene,
Later, Fisher does.
Immediately, the moment Mr. Fisher started talking, everyone started telling him to
No,
be this and
because
don't say
so
anything.
Mr. Fisher was now not an unmixedly chivalrous nature. He considered that he
But
had
if
been
you go
treated
back
badly.
to that,
But when they saw first, it is they
the
were
moment Harold walked in,
no, when they saw first, they thought probably he has heard their conversation. Then they thought that's why they were
they
anxious.
immediately started telling him not want to.
When he started telling that, oh, so you are the one, you are his son. That's when they said, don't. With his tone, they thought that he might reveal something because he was anyway angry.
Let's see.
Get a bit of his own bad implies.
Sorry.
Take revenge. Taking revenge.
Taking revenge.
How
Could you tell us?
was Mr. Fisher planning to get his own back?
By telling
By
Harold the truth
telling
about his
Harold
father.
the truth.
About his father, yes.
Mr. Fisher felt he had been treated badly because Mr. Bramble had called off his fight with
Murphy. Yes.
We did this.
Can we start with
What's
this
the time?
chapter as there's lots of.
Don't you want to do the question answers?
Oh, we have
Oh, what's the time?
10.
5, 10.
10.
So we can't start anyway. You
We have
have
5 minutes.
only one poem to do. Now,
Seven
from the 7 ages. 7
Well, I think
ages.
I'm going to take an extra class for English because I missed a lecture.
You missed what?
I missed a lecture.
You can always watch, the recorded
But
lecture.
I need
I want to
Extra
watch that
lectures.
one. That we will have with
I'm ready to watch the recording. I don't even know what the channel is.
University Tutorials, CBSE.
You have that in the
WhatsApp
WhatsApp, yeah.
What?
group. In the WhatsApp group, when you go like group info, there is given the link for the recorded lectures.
Why was it necessary to keep Harold's father's profession a secret from him?
As
Because he thought that he would feel ashamed that his
yeah,
father
like he
was
listened,
a boss.
he listened that his father is a boxer, so he'll feel ashamed that my father is a,
That his father
that his father is a boxer.
was a boxer.
His parents wanted him to think that his father was a gentleman, just like him.
Yes.
So you will first tell that Harold was a very studious person. He was good at he
My
was
God,
actually he was they've given no. He was good at studies, very sincere. He
I think
was
one of the
a
key
prodigy. He was almost a child prodigy, and therefore they thought that he might find a violent profession like boxing.
I think a key reason would be that because he's a prodigy, they wanted him to have a father figure to look up to, and somebody who's a boxer isn't. They thought that wouldn't fit like the
Yeah, they thought he might be ashamed.
They wanted him to look up to his father, and he was such a brilliant prodigy. So a profession like boxing may not, be such a, They thought that it wouldn't leave a good impression.
Okay. Or you can say that simply that he was a child prodigy and he was constantly reading books and interested in intellectual pursuit. His father was a boxer and they thought that that profession that might make him he might be ashamed of that profession since that was looked up as a violent profession. Simple. Will you be able to write on your own?
Yeah.
Will you? Describe Mr. Bramble as he has been described in the story.
He was
Mr. Bramble was a boxer and he was named as Young Corky and
He was very successful and a popular boxer. Yes. Any other point?
He was initially very proud of who he was and of being such a good boxer, and that he could probably defeat anybody, any captain in the city in a 20-round contest. And he would always brag to everyone about him being in the newspaper and etc. But after Harold came into his life, he started to become a lot more anxious.
Conscious about his own profession. Okay. See, before coming of Harold, he had been proud of being professional boxer. He could defeat any boxer, and he weighed 8 stone 4.
I know.
He weighed 8 stone 4.
There was not a man in London who couldn't overcome a 20 round. And he was also directed with a left hook, which had won the approval of the newspaper. What is hook?
He
mean?
was
was
possessor
delighted
of
to
a
be-
left hook, which had won the approval
Approval
of
of
the.
the newspaper.
Okay, must have been some medal left hook. I really don't know. Possessor of a left hook. Got the
And
answer?
after Harold came into
Got the
Yeah.
answer?
after Harold came
Somebody
into his
studied it.
life, he started to become afraid of seeing his name in print, and
Yeah.
he started to become a very secretive practitioner of his job.
Who was Jerry Fisher?
Jerry Fisher was a trainer of,
Trainer of Bill.
Bill.
What did he say to try and convince Bill to change his mind?
He was talking about the quirks.
Yes, that the what do you call the match would give him good amount of money,
Yeah.
and it would also make
also remember
make
how
him
he had-
very popular because a huge crowd will gather to watch him. There will be many newspapers, journalists who would watch that, and his name would be published
Yeah.
all over.
With his photo.
I think he also said that you have trained so hard to get into shape for the form for the fight, and now you're last minute.
Yeah, and he reminded him how he had worked hard to get in shape, and now he's
Get
withdrawing,
into form.
get in form, and now he's trying to withdraw his name at the last hour. Why was Harold upset that his father had not told him about his true identity?
Ma'am,
Because
as
everyone at
Yeah.
like as there was a fellow in school that always showing off that I have the autograph of Phil Scott. So he could also say that my father is a celebrity and he's a boxer. So he can.
What was the first thing? Everybody teased him.
like
These
Goggles.
goggles.
Everybody, all the children teased him goggles.
and if they knew that
Had they
he
knew,
was,
my father is a
son,
boxer.
His father,
And
his
his
father
father is a boxer. So
was a boxer. Yes.
they would look,
Basically-
look up to him like
Basically, he used to be bullied and teased a lot, and boxing was a respected profession in this school. So if he knew that his father was a boxer, then he would never really be bullied or teased.
The students would have never bullied him. In fact, he would
They
have
would have
earned a respect among the fellow mates. So he was constantly bullied and teased. He was called names like goggles. So therefore, he was upset. Do you agree with the decision of Harold's parents of hiding the fact that his father was a boxer?
It's difficult to say.
yeah,
They probably, from the point of view of the parents, it was probably the right decision.
yeah.
Okay, so you have to write your personal opinion. What will you say? In my
It
opinion,
really
it is not.
It really
Yeah,
depends on the
it's not.
perspective. There's no right
In my opinion, it is not. It is always open to be with your child, and it's always the child must always be proud of whatever way the parent earns money, unless it is a wrong way. And it was a profession that his father practiced, and parents should have been pretty open about it. You should leave the decision on the child to decide. It's whatever he thinks. You shouldn't think for it.
Well, I think we can understand where the parents are coming from in their decision. It depends on the
They're not asking where the parents are coming from.
Yes, it depends on the perspective.
It is what you think. Do you agree with the decision? So you have to write your perspective. So your perspective can be yes, they are right. Then you justify it. And if you say no, then justify.
And don't tell a book by its cover. Basically, even though he was in a violent profession, he was actually a very humble and kind man who actually used to respect others. And he even the sake of in the case of naming, for example.
Next time we'll do the
7 inches.
7 H's. You know what the next book that they have finished? I don't think they'll ask any comprehension because they have so many lessons from this to ask.
You know what?
Sorry.
I say, what was your hand?
What?
That other book.
MCB.
Yeah.
Main course book. Yeah.
I seriously doubt how many comprehensions and questions will they ask. Yahan se, wahan
And we have
se.
done like more than half the book already.
Yeah.
This is 3/4. We have finished. Out of
They're asking for 15 chapters.
I think they'll take some of the chapters from
No,
here
they're making
and
us
some.
out of 5, we have finished 4
And they're
lessons.
making us run full not for even the other book as well. Just
Out of 6, we have already done 3, and now we are doing the 4th. We are finishing with this book. Out of 2 dramas, we have already done 1. We have done 3/4, almost 3/4 of the
no, we
portion.
haven't done the drama in us.
We have started and we have finished today.
What the drama?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye.
There's so much syllabus they need to do.
They're like crazy. They have too much.
15 chapters to.
Like just literature.
Yeah.
And how does the school expect the children to do that?
I don't know how did they finish that much. I don't know how did they finish that much. What are we doing today? The 2 poems.
Yeah, one of them we had started, but the lecture ended.
Yeah. So
The lake Isle of Innis.
the Lake Isle of Innis.
And then what's the other one?
The Legend of Northland.
I'm pretty sure we did the lake Isle of Innis.
Yeah, we did. Did we do the question answers as well?
I don't know. But there is something written on my like textbook.
Yes. Now tell me, do you have informal letter?